drone lovers, imagine this for a second. What if you could take the best features from the Mini 5 Pro, Avata 2, Air 3, and Osmo 360 and combine them into one single drone? One compact, mid-range drone that could handle almost any shot you'd ever want to capture. Sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it? But what if that concept is actually turning into reality? Introducing DJI's first ever panoramic flagship drone, the Avata 360. And honestly, the specs sound kinda wild. Big thanks to my tech partner over in China for providing this footage. I really appreciate the support in making this video happen. Hey everyone, Stella here from techiestreet. If you're into staying updated with the newest gadgets, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our latest tech content. All right, let's get right into the unboxing. We're talking 8K panoramic video at 60 FPS, a large 1-inch flagship sensor, image quality close to full-frame performance, 0.4 transmission, and an incredible 20-kilometer range. The craziest part? DJI somehow packed all of that into a small, portable body, and the expected price sits at just 2788 yuan, which is roughly 300 pounds or around $410. That's an aggressive price point for what this thing promises. Design-wise, the Avata 360 sticks with the recognizable one-piece look from the Avata series, but DJI made the body flatter this time around to better support panoramic shooting. One of the most interesting additions is the brand new panoramic camera platform inspired by Osmo technology. It features two square-shaped dual sensors, and when panoramic mode is activated, both lenses work together to capture and stitch together a complete panoramic image. DJI also came up with a pretty smart reversible structure. During takeoff and landing, the drone tilts backwards slightly, exposing a small landing pad underneath for safer touchdowns. Since panoramic lenses are typically large and prone to scratches, this setup helps protect them by retracting one of the lenses when needed. And if a lens ever gets damaged, you can replace it individually later on, which is actually a really practical touch. For controls, the Avata 360 works with Flight Goggles 3, N3, motion controllers, and even FPV-style controls like the FPV Remote 3. Adding panoramic shooting into the experience makes the drone approachable, entertaining, and still seriously powerful. But DJI didn't stop there. It also supports the classic RC2 controller and includes a single-lens shooting mode, which experienced pilots are definitely going to appreciate. Now, motion controls are undeniably fun and super easy to get used to, but if you're the type of pilot who likes more accurate aerial movements, things like weaving through tight gaps or perfectly orbiting a subject, you'll probably still gravitate toward the standard controller. Personally, I still prefer traditional flying styles. Sure, panoramic footage gives you the freedom to reframe shots later inside DJI Studio, but I'd rather get the movement right while I'm actually flying. It just feels more immersive, and you get a better sense of the scene in real time. What's cool is that DJI manages to combine both approaches really well. In panoramic mode, once you start recording, the drone captures the entire panoramic scene while also saving your live camera movements at the same time. So if the shot already looks great, you can export it immediately. But if you want more control afterward, you can revisit the footage later, add keyframes, and fine-tune the camera motion. While flying, though, it still feels very similar to operating a normal drone. It's basically combining the flexibility of panoramic shooting with the familiarity of traditional controls, and that balance works surprisingly well. Since DJI clearly wants this drone to overlap with use cases normally covered by the Mini lineup, image quality becomes extremely important. Because panoramic footage captures such a massive field of view, the flat image you finally see is actually cropped out from that larger scene. To maintain sharpness and detail, the Avata 360 uses the same 1-inch sensor configuration found in the Osmo 360, featuring dual square CMOS sensors capable of capturing 1.2 billion pixel panoramic photos and recording 8K 60 FPS video. In terms of pure image quality, that puts it right near the top of the market. And in actual use, the footage looks incredible. The ultra-wide perspective combined with smooth camera movement creates some really cinematic results. But there is a downside. Since the field of view is so huge, getting a tighter or zoomed-in composition means cropping in heavily. Even with an 8K source, it still can't fully compete with a true telephoto lens, like the one you'd get on something like the Air 3S. So if your style relies heavily on close-up shots or long zoom footage, a drone with a dedicated telelens may still make more sense. Of course, if DJI eventually releases a 16K panoramic version someday, that cropping limitation could become much less noticeable. But then again, storage demands are already getting pretty intense. On the bright side, DJI has been surprisingly generous with onboard storage here. Even at this price, the Avata 360 includes 42 gigabytes of internal storage, which is enough for roughly 46 minutes of 8K 30 FPS panoramic recording without needing to insert a memory card. Now let's get into something every drone pilot worries about: flight safety. The Avata 360 supports full omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, but if you look carefully at the hardware, you'll notice visible sensors and LiDAR are mainly positioned near the front lens. So how does it detect obstacles around the sides and rear? DJI is actually using the panoramic imaging system itself, combined with intelligent software algorithms to manage obstacle detection in those areas. In daytime testing, the avoidance system performs really confidently. Trees, buildings, streetlights, it handles all of them impressively well. Night flying is a different story. In low light, only the front and bottom sensing systems stay dependable because of the LiDAR support. That means side flying or inverted movements at night probably aren't worth the risk. And honestly, with panoramic footage, you can always adjust framing later in post anyway, so there's really no reason to push it too far. When it comes to transmission performance, DJI is still operating at the top of the game. The Avata 360 features 04+ transmission with a maximum range of up to 20 kilometers. It also includes built-in 4G transmission as a backup system, so whether you're flying through a crowded city packed with interference or exploring remote mountain areas, the drone can switch between systems to maintain a reliable signal. Even in more difficult environments with interference and obstacles around, the connection remains impressively stable as long as you're not attempting extreme range flights. You also don't need to constantly point the controller directly toward the drone to maintain signal strength. The live feed stays smooth, latency stays low, and the overall flying experience feels really polished from start to finish. Another big advantage is the drone's built-in integrated frame, which is seriously durable. If you accidentally crash, the tougher construction helps minimize damage, and that's a huge confidence boost when you're chasing those intense FPV-style shots. Whether you're diving steeply, skimming close to the ground, or flying at high speed, you can stay focused on the shot instead of worrying about every tiny mistake. That rugged, confidence-inspiring design has always been one of the strongest points of the Avata series. And this leads into what I'd call the Avata 360's third personality, its full FPV mode. Once you connect the FPV remote controller or pair motion controls with the goggles, switching over to single lens mode transforms the drone into a true Avata-style FPV machine. You get that angled, immersive camera view that makes every flight feel fast, dynamic, and incredibly engaging. Put the goggles on, and the whole experience becomes way more intense in the best way possible. Of course, there's an important limitation here. In single lens mode, one of the panoramic lenses is tucked away, so the drone loses its full panoramic obstacle sensing capabilities. At that point, you're mainly relying on downward obstacle detection, which means you need to fly more carefully and stay aware of your surroundings. That immersive FPV feeling definitely comes with a compromise. Battery life is another area where sacrifices had to be made. Because of the compact integrated structure, endurance doesn't quite reach the level of something like the Mini 5 Pro, which can stay in the air for up to 52 minutes. The Avata 360 is rated for roughly 23 minutes, and if you're flying aggressively or doing FPV-style maneuvers, realistically, you'll probably switch batteries after around 15 to 18 minutes. Thankfully, the Fly More combo helps a lot by including 3 batteries along with a charging hub that supports fast charging, so getting back in the air doesn't take long. But beyond those 3 main operating styles, there are some standout features that really push this drone into a different category. Similar to professional cinema drone setups, the Avata 360 combines an FPV viewing camera with a downward-facing omnidirectional gimbal system. One camera handles the pilot's flight perspective, while the other manages the actual cinematic framing. That separation allows the drone's movement and the camera direction to work independently, which opens up a ton of creative possibilities for more advanced shots. For example, one of my favorite things to film is moving cars from the air, but doing that with a drone like the Air 3S can get complicated and expensive pretty quickly. Before, I often had to fly backward while constantly checking the drone itself to avoid crashing, and at the same time I was trying to monitor the live camera feed. Honestly, it was stressful and far from ideal. The Avata 360 changes that experience completely. Because the drone uses a panoramic imaging system, the software can create a secondary viewing angle that stays locked to your flight perspective, all in full color and high resolution. Once you enable the intelligent follow system, especially the free follow mode, the drone takes over the framing automatically and keeps your subject centered. In practice, that means you can focus almost entirely on flying while the onboard algorithms handle the camera work for you. The tracking accuracy is surprisingly reliable, and capturing cinematic car following footage suddenly becomes much easier than you'd expect. And if the footage still isn't exactly how you imagined it, you've got plenty of flexibility afterward. You can jump into DJI Studio during editing and completely rework the camera motion later with different keyframes and perspectives. There's a lot of room for creativity there. In S mode, the drone can hit speeds up to 64.8 kilometers per hour, which is more than fast enough for most tracking shots, as long as you coordinate properly with your subject. Now, if you're newer to drones or simply not very confident with manual flying, DJI also includes a standard follow mode that makes things much easier. In this setting, the drone essentially manages both the flight path and camera movement by itself. Thanks to the panoramic camera system combined with strong obstacle avoidance, the tracking performance is honestly among the best I've seen so far. Whether it's weaving through tighter areas or following vehicles at lower to medium speeds, it handles everything smoothly and safely. So overall, after spending some time with it, the Avata 360 feels like much more than just an FPV drone with panoramic features added on. It comes across as a highly flexible creative platform that blends professional-level capabilities with beginner-friendly usability. Whether you're just getting started or you've been flying for years, there's something here that fits your style. With the combination of a 1-inch sensor, 8K 60 FPS recording, reliable obstacle avoidance, stable 0.4 transmission, and several different shooting modes, DJI has essentially created a single drone capable of handling both immersive panoramic capture and advanced cinematic movement. And pricing the base version at 2788 yuan is honestly a pretty aggressive move from DJI this year. If you already own compatible goggles or controllers, it becomes a relatively affordable way to experience an entirely new style of flying. And for beginners, I'd actually suggest starting with the motion controller setup first, since it's much easier to learn. Later on, once you feel more comfortable, you can always grab a used remote controller and save yourself some money. That's going to wrap up this video. Thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe because it really helps support the channel. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.